Hello from Becky and me, and welcome to the start of a brand new week.
First tonight, after years of debate, protests and planning battles, the death knell appears to have sounded for the second runway at Stansted Airport.
Unveiling the Labour Party's manifesto today, Gordon Brown backed expansion at Heathrow, but ruled it out for the time being at any other airports. The Conservatives have already expressed their opposition to new runways.
Well, our political correspondent Matthew Hudson joins us live now from Stansted Airport with the latest news on that and the first visit here of Lib Dem leader Nick Clegg. Matthew, into the second week of campaigning then, and a bit of a bombshell today.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, we had Nick Clegg's visits to Northampton. He's the third leader of the three main parties to visit our region. More of that later. But as you say, today was the day that the Labour Party launched its manifesto and contained within it a piece of information which could have, well, profound implications for, well, where I'm standing right now, as my colleague Emma Baker reports.
It may not have been champagne, but for those in the Three Horseshoes at Molehill Green near Stansted today, there was an air of cautious celebration. After years of campaigning against a second runway, it seems Gordon Brown may now be coming round to their way of thinking. A move that could well be a vote winner for these locals.
I would definitely consider voting Labour on that news because, you know, we're local, it's important to us. The most important thing, rather than which Parliament's in, is where am I going to live in the next 10 years.
That doesn't really change anything. People realistically don't think it's going to go ahead for at least 8 to 10 years anyway. So it just appears to me that it's a bit of a vote winner. Over
my house, where I was brought up, it was constant flights after flight after flight, all the way through the night. And it would just, I mean, it really takes away from how you feel about the countryside.
Launching its party manifesto today, Labour announced it wouldn't allow additional runways at any airport other than Heathrow. But the pledge only refers to the life of the next Parliament, which many campaigners say doesn't go far enough.
We're not being told anything that we don't already know. There's no way that an incoming government would be called on to take a decision on Stansted within the next 5 years. We're looking at a much longer process because of the public inquiry and all the pre-inquiry steps that would need to be taken, as well as the ownership questions which remain unresolved.
The possibility of a second runway has sparked protests since it was first raised 8 years ago. The plans were thrown into doubt last year when regulators ordered BAA to sell Stansted and Gatwick. They were clouded even further this year when the government was told to rewrite the legislation to take environmental targets into account. No one from Stansted Airport was available to talk to us on camera today, but in a statement BAA said, "We agree that demand for extra capacity at Heathrow exists now, whereas the second runway at Stansted is designed to meet demand in the future. The case for both runways remains strong." With the Tories already having said they have no plans for Stansted expansion, the second runway at this Essex airport may not make it off the ground anytime soon. Emma Baker, Anglia News, Stansted.
Well, other headlines in that Labour manifesto: big emphasis on family rights, paid paternity leave to be increased to 4 weeks, and also to give grandparents the right to see their grandchildren in the event of divorce. A lot of talk also about dealing with antisocial behaviour. You may remember that's something that Gordon Brown spoke at length to Anglia tonight about on Friday. These are issues that Labour obviously feels are vote winners. Perhaps surprisingly, though, they got a great big raspberry from Conservative leader David Cameron.
They want us to explain how we're really going to change things to get us out of that deep hole. Now, they will have seen Labour's manifesto launched today, and I can tell you that is not going to change anything. There's nothing new there. There's nothing different there. There's no real change there.
As for Nick Clegg, well, he was in Northampton, a town he tells me he knows extremely well. When I caught up with him, he was keen to talk about tax and education.
And come on, it's election time, so tell me what are the 2 or 3 things that make the biggest difference to your life?
Sarah McGuinness is exactly the kind of voter the Liberal Democrats have to win over. Undecided who to vote for, she's listening carefully to what all the parties have to say. And with tiny grandson Archie's future to consider, she particularly wants to hear about education and how to help people who want to learn.
Childcare, more for my son than me. He works full time. My daughter-in-law is at university, but you can pay a childminder, you can't pay a grandmother. Anything to help young parents.
Hello, you. I haven't seen you in ages. Are you well?
I'm very well.
Yeah.
On his visit to a holiday club at Northampton's Camrose Centre, Mr Clegg was keen to meet voters and stressed that his party won't cut education budgets. But today's big announcement was that the Liberal Democrats would scrap income tax on the first £10,000 we all earn.
People are telling us day in, day out that they are really enthused and excited by our messages of fairness, particularly fairness in the tax system. If you're on an ordinary income, if you're on a middle income or a below average income, we're now the only party in this campaign saying very, very clearly, you will get a fair tax break from us. You'll pay no tax on the first £10,000 you earn. That's £700 back in your pocket, paid for, because it's got to be paid for, of course, by closing the huge loopholes at the top.
Although Mr Clegg arrived late, there was a smile and a soundbite for anyone who wanted one. He knows Northampton well, having represented the town as a member of the European Parliament. 2 years ago, the Lib Dems came first in local elections here, with 36% of the vote. The Liberal Democrats have made giant strides here in Northampton over the last two general elections, but they still need a swing of around 6% if they're going to win it this time around. Candidate Andrew Simpson faces a hard fight, but not an impossible one. Although Labour currently holds the seat, Mr Clegg told us it was now a straight fight between his party and the Conservatives. Whether that's a true assessment or hyperbole, we'll learn when the votes are counted. Well, no sign of this roller coaster slowing down. At 8 o'clock this evening, you can see David Cameron on ITV's Tonight programme. Then tomorrow, his Conservative Party, it launches its own manifesto. The same day, the UK Independence Party officially launches its campaign again in one of our constituencies. And Nick Clegg is back here. He'll be visiting Luton South to talk about small businesses. And then on Wednesday, his own party, the Liberal Democrats, they launch their manifesto. And on Thursday, well, it's the one that many of us have been waiting for, the first historic televised debate between the three main party leaders. 90 minutes of uninterrupted political cut and thrust on ITV. I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Matt, thanks. Another busy day, another very busy week as well. Thanks for that.
Now, when they get to sleep.
Yeah. Right, every car driver knows the frustration of being stuck behind a lorry as it slowly passes another on the motorway.